All right, friends, this is part 2 of my bookshelf tour. So I am showing you first for part 2. This is my second bookshelf. This is the one I am always in front of when I film. And again, I have my books sorted for the most part by genre. So this top 3 shelves, excuse me, are my dystopian books. Then this little cube is my historical fiction and Agatha Christie, apparently. Then I have my YA, kind of generic YA books in there. And then this is my V.C. Andrews cubby that's dedicated just to those books. Then I have sci-fi and fantasy, and then this one has like paranormal, supernatural type books. Okay. So I'm going to go a little bit more into detail with each little cube. This is one of those closet-made cube systems. I believe I got this at Lowe's a long time ago. So first I have Pepys and the Last Days by Scott Westerfeld, The Healer by Rick Gibson, Unwind by Neal Shusterman, and Germ by Robert Liparulo. These are all dystopian books, as far as I know. Well, the Scott Westerfeld are not, but they're in there for some reason. Flashback by Dan Simmons, The Uninvited by Liz Jensen, Feed by M.T. Anderson, The Children of Men by P.D. James, White Horse by Alex Adams, Nerve by Jeannie Ryan. And some of these dystopians are YA, but they're YA dystopians, so that's why they're here. Proxy by Alex London, Cruel by Jennifer Albin, and Thinner Than Thou by Kit Reed. The shelf beside it is more dystopian, my A. I have Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, Gathering Blue by Lois Lowry, and 1984 by George Orwell. Then I have Starters by Lissa Price, Department 19 and Department 19 The Rising by Will Hill, No Safety in Numbers by Dana Lawrence, The Unidentified by Ray Maurice, Article 5 by Kristen Simmons, Slated by Terry, What's Left of Me by Kat Zhang, and Specials by Scott Westerfeld. And then my third dystopian shelf, and I have more dystopian books that I haven't added to my shelves. I have a whole stack of books that need to be put away, so it's going to be interesting. I have Eve by Anna Carey, Shatter Me by Tahara Mafi, When She Woke by Hilary Jordan, Reboot by Amy Tintera, The Program by Suzanne Young, The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken, The Lost Girl by Sangu Mandana, The Selection by Kiera Cass, and Delirium by Lauren Oliver. So those are my dystopian books, and I apologize for the shaky camera. I'm doing my best, but it's kind of tricky, so sorry. The next one is my historical fiction shelf. I have The Lady of Rivers and The Red Queen by Philippa Gregory. I also have The Kingmaker's Daughter and The White Princess, The Boleyn Inheritance, and The Other Boleyn Girl, and Whiteacre, all by Philippa Gregory. Then I have The Red Tent by Anita Diamant, and The Diviners by Libba Bray, and A Bride Most Begrudging by Deanne Gist. I have my Agatha Christie box set that has Murder on the Orient Express, The Body in the Library, and Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. And yeah, I guess that's kind of historical fiction because it took place a while ago, but it's not, it's more mystery, but I don't know, it's there, so. Then this is my YA, my 2 YA shelves, and I do have YA mixed in different places, so, but these are just kind of strictly YA, I don't know. I have Winter Girls by Laurie Halse Anderson, Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close by Jonathan Safran Foer, All the Truth That's in Me by Julie Berry, Amelia Ann is Dead and Gone by Kat Rosenfeld, As I Wake by Elizabeth Scott, Getting Somewhere by Beth Neff, Blindsided by Priscilla Cummings. The Julian Game by Adele Griffin. Audition by Stasha Ward Kehoe. This is Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist by Rachel Cohn and David Levithan, and The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. Then this I have Lessons from a Dead Girl by Joe Knowles. Crash Into Me by Albert Boris. Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jesse Andrews. Poison Diary by Mary Rose Wood and the Duchess of Northumberland. Poison Ink by Christopher Golden. Looking for Alaska by John Green. An Abundance of Catherines and Paper Towns by John Green. The Sky is Everywhere by Jandy Nilsson. The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie. Ink by Amanda Sun. Zoe Letting Go by Nora Price. If I Stay by Gail Foreman. And Rosebush by Michelle Jaffe. Okay. Then I have down here my V.C. Andrews shelf. Now the books that I read when I was a teenager, I read a lot of V.C. Andrews. That's when I discovered her. I was about in 9th grade, and I've only kept the ones that I really love. There's 2 series that, actually 3 series that are my favorites. The rest I just don't like, but the main thing is most of the books by V.C. Andrews are written by a ghostwriter. So the Flowers in the Attic trilogy or series is written by V.C. Andrews, as well as half of the Heaven series. And then My Sweet Audrina was written by her, and then she died, and so they kind of carried on. But they're still good. So these are my favorites. This one I haven't read yet. I've read the first novella, Butterfly, but it's The Orphan Chronicles. Then this is The Flowers in the Attic. I don't have the dust jackets for these ones, for most of them, which is a bummer. But Flowers in the Attic, Petals on the Wind, Seeds of Yesterday, If There Be Thorns, and Garden of Shadows, which I do have the dust jacket for. Then I have My Sweet Audrina, which is a standalone. Heaven, Dark Angel, Fallen Hearts, Gates of Paradise, and Web of Dreams are all the Heaven series. And then Dawn, Secrets of the Morning, Twilight's Child, Midnight Whispers, and Darkest Hour are in the Dawn series. I can't think of the real name. It's the last name of their family. It starts with a C. I can't remember it, but that's okay. So anyway, that is my little V.C. Andrews shelf that I've read these, especially like The Flowers in the Attic, which is my all-time favorite series. I've read many, many times, so. All right, and then this is sci-fi and a little bit of fantasy. I have Star Crash by Elisa Hendricks. Harbinger by Sarah Wilson Etienne. I have my Chronicles of Narnia Bind Up by C.S. Lewis. It's a little bit beat up and waterlogged, but I still love this book. I have A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. Then I have The Host by Stephanie Meyer, Across the Universe, A Million Suns, and Shades of Earth by Beth Revis, and the Gemma Doyle trilogy, A Great and Terrible Beauty, Rebel Angels, and The Sweet Far Thing by Libba Bray. I have read The Host, and I've read the Narnia series. Then I have my paranormal-ish, vampire-y type books, The Name of the Star and Madness Underneath by Maureen Johnson. Blood Oath by Christopher Farnsworth. The Fetch by Laura Whitcomb. Origin by Jessica Curry. The Slayer Chronicles 1 and 2 by Heather Brewer. First Kill and Second Chance. Cinder by Marissa Meyer. The Hallowed Ones by Laura Bickle. Plain Fear Forsaken by Leanna Ellis. Anne Rice, The Wolf Gift, and The Immortal by Ilo Roke. So that is my second bookshelf, and I will be back in a minute for my third. Okay, we have arrived at the third bookshelf. This is it. And it's a bigger one. I got it at Walmart. And I'm just going to start right in. Now, these books, these top 3 shelves are basically fiction, adult fiction for the most part. So, yeah. And then I have my horror, thriller type books down here, and then my Christian fiction down there. Okay. I have The Most Wanted and the Deep End of the Ocean by Jacqueline Michard. The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfeld. I have my Jodi Picoult books. 19 Minutes is up there. Lone Wolf, Handle with Care, Perfect Match, Second Glance, My Sister's Keeper, Vanishing Acts, and The Pact. Then I have The Bright Forever by Lee Martin. The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger. The Dressmaker by Kate Alcott. After by Amy Efaw. Standing Still by Kelly Simmons. I have 2 books by Anna Quinlan, Black and Blue and Rise and Shine. Taken by Edward Bloor. Tom Perrotta, Little Children. Augustin Burroughs has A Wolf at the Table and Cell-O-Vision. I have my little angels that were on top of my wedding cake my mother-in-law had purchased for me a while ago. In the Woods by Tana French. Saving Max by Antoinette Van Houten. And Running on the Cracks by Julia Donaldson. Then, my second shelf, I have White Oleander by Janet Fitch. Ape House by Sarah Gruen. Lisa Scottolini books. I have Think Twice, Look Again, and Save Me. Savages by Shirley Conran. Room by Emma Donoghue. Critical by Robin Cook. Pirate Latitudes by Michael Crichton. Trouble by Jesse Kellerman. My Wife's Affair by Nancy Woodruff. I have some Anita Shreve books. Testimony, Body Surfing, A Change in Altitude, The Pilot's Wife, and The Weight of Water. And I have not yet read any of her books, but all of these books were very affordable. This one I got at the Dollar Tree. So I'm looking forward to reading them. They all do sound really good, so I'm looking forward to reading these. Between Shades of Grey by Ruta Sepetys. Trafficked by Kim Purcell. The Unbecoming and the Evolution of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hodkin. Made in the USA by Billy Letts. I have read this, but I want to read it again. It was a great book. Great book. No Place Like Home by Mary Higgins Clark. Harmless as Doves by P.L. Goss. And The 19th Wife by David Ebershoff. All right, and then we're down to the third shelf, more adult fiction. I have a Patchwork Christmas collection by multiple authors. I have A Dog's Purpose and Sweet Misfortune, like the condensed Reader's Digest versions by W. Bruce Cameron and Kevin Allen Milne. Ice Trap by Kitty Sewell. The Secret Life of C.C. Wilkes by Diane Chamberlain. I've heard this is really good. I'm excited to read this one. Hearts That Survive by Yvonne Lehman. Mopmen, Inside the World of Crime Scene Cleaners by Alan Emmons. Trance by Linda Gerber. I think this is a YA. Darkly Dreaming Dexter by Jeff Lindsay. The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon. The Memory Keeper's Daughter by Kim Edwards. You can see I was trying to do like a rainbow thing for a little while. It didn't quite work, but yeah. The Art of Racing in the Rain by Garth Stein. The Honk and Holler, opening soon by Billy Letts. The Weight of Silence by Heather Gudenkoff. I have my Alice Sebold books. The Lovely Bones, The Almost Moon, and Lucky. Once in a Blue Moon by Eileen Gouge. The Longings of Wayward Girls by Karen Brown. Show of Hands by Anthony McCartan. One Lane Bridge by Dawn Reed. The Good Sister by Drusilla Campbell. And then I have kind of a little bit of a collection of classics. Some of them are classics. The Secret Life of Bees by Sue Monk Kidd. The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Jacob Have I Loved by Catherine Patterson. This is Animal Farm by George Orwell. Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. A Night to Remember by Walter Lord. And Into the Wild by John Krakauer. And then I have my... See, I have to double stack these now. And I don't like doing that, but I have to. Sweet Valley Confidential by Francine Pascal. While I Was Gone by Sue Miller. Sights Unseen by Kay Gibbons and Ellen Foster by Kay Gibbons. The Christmas Cookie Killer by Olivia J. Washburn. Irreplaceable by Stephen Lovely. The Help by Catherine Stockett. Girls in Peril by Karen Lee Boren. Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe by Fannie Flagg. Eye Contact by Cami McGovern. The Silent Wife by A.S.A. Harrison. The Dead Lie Down by Sophie Hannah. The Light Between Oceans by M.L. Stedman. And Where'd You Go, Bernadette by Marie Semple. Okay, now down to the fourth shelf. I have added some more Stephen King books to my collection, but I haven't yet added them to my shelf. I also have some Dean Koontz books that I recently purchased. So, hold on one second. Sorry, I'm taking my iPad out of the case. So, this is going to be more full. But I have John Saul, Shadows, then I have my Stephen King books, Rose Madder, Full Dark, No Stars, Cell, Bag of Bones, the Bachman books, which has Rage, The Long Walk, Road Work, and The Running Man, and Blaze by Richard Bachman, but that's Stephen King. I have Ripper by Stefan Petruka, The Night Strangers by Chris Bojalian. I have The Monstermologist and the Curse of the Wendigo by Rick Yancey. The Replacement by Brenna Yovanov. In the Flesh by Clive Barker. The Birthing House by Christopher Ransom. Velocity by Dean Koontz. And then I have my paperbacks. I have this book, which I loved when I was in 6th grade. I actually bought it from Amazon because I was thinking about it, and I just thought this was a great book. It has Urban Legends, Southern Fried Rat, and Other Gruesome Tales by Daniel Cohen. It's awesome. It's not in publication anymore, but it's a really fun book, and it has, like, illustrations and stuff. It's great. In the Dark of the Night and Cry for the Strangers by John Saul. Hideaway by Dean Koontz. Delusion by G.H. Efron. Scissors by Ray Garton. After Midnight by Richard Lehman. Full Tilt by Neal Shusterman. And Different Seasons by Stephen King. Then behind that little pile, I have more mass market paperbacks. I have The Funhouse and The Voice of the Night by Dean Koontz, The Shining by Stephen King, The Girls He Adored by Jonathan Nassau, Lost Boys by Orson Scott Card, Fall into Darkness by Christopher Pike, and then these are like my point thrillers, those thrillers that I used to read when I was in high school. I think a lot of people did. Like this one is Party Line. These are just old books that I've been picking up at the library when I can find them for 10 cents, just because the nostalgia, they're fun to read. So, and then I have The Ruins by Scott Smith. Okay, the last shelf on this bookshelf has my Christian fiction and then a few things behind. So I have a lot of books by Frank Peretti and Ted Decker. This is by both of them. This is House, The Oath by Frank Peretti, and The Visitation, and Monster are all by Frank Peretti. And then I have The Bride Collector and Emmanuel's Veins by Ted Decker, Skin, Bowman's Daughters, Mortal, Showdown by Ted Decker, Winds of Evil by Sharon K. Gilbert, The Wounded Spirit by Frank Peretti, that's a nonfiction, I believe, House of Dark Shadows, Watcher in the Woods, and Timescape by Robert Liparolo. That is a series. I don't have all the books yet. I'm still trying to get those. And The Shack by William Paul Young. And then behind these, I have my Robin Cook collection of paperbacks, and then this is The Surgeon by Francis Rowe, but these are all medical thrillers. I've read most of these, but not all of them. I love Robin Cook. Some of his books, most of his books I like. So I have Outbreak, Shock, Mortal Fear, Toxin, Vector, and Foreign Body. Then I have a hardcover up above that I haven't read yet, Critical. Okay. Then I have my paperbacks, Adam by Ted Decker, Forbidden by Ted Decker and Tosca Lee, 3 by Ted Decker, and Hangman's Curse by Frank Peretti. And then I have this little stack, The Ultimatum by Nancy Moser, This Present Darkness and Piercing the Darkness by Frank Peretti, Exposure by Brandy Lynn Collins. I have this series, I'm not sure what it's called, but I have number 1, Violet Dawn, in my TBR, but it's Violet Dawn, Coral Moon, Crimson Eve, and Amberborn by Brandy Lynn Collins. And then another trilogy, The Nightmare Game, The Black Room, and The Dark Ground by Gillian Cross. So those are my books on this bookshelf. That is a lot, and I apologize for the shaky camera. If there are any books that you want to see more closely, let me know. I have one more shelf to show you. So this is my last bookshelf. It's a small one, and this bookshelf holds most of the books I've read and my nonfiction. So this will be pretty quick to go through. It's going to be a little tricky to get to because my banister is right here because it's in the hallway, but I will do my best. All right. So I have Shattered Dreams, My Life as a Polygamous Wife by Irene Spencer. Books by Tori Hayden. Tori Hayden is one of my favorite authors. If you are a teacher or if you are interested in special education, anything like that, these books are wonderful. They're really good. They're also very interesting. I was very inspired by these books. She actually is part of the reason, a big part of the reason I do work in the schools with children with special needs, because her books are wonderful. Anyway, I have Murphy's Boy, Somebody Else's Kids, and Ghost Girl. Then I have 172 Hours on the Moon by Johan Harstad, Ice Cold by Tess Gerritsen, The Bondage Breaker by Neil T. Anderson, Do You Think I'm Beautiful by Angela Thomas, Survive by Alex Morel, Water for Elephants by Sarah Gruen, Captivating by John and Stacey Eldridge, The 1 Year Chronological Bible, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs, A Page Out of Life by Kathleen Reed, The Next Big Thing by Johanna Edwards, Heaven is for Real by Todd Burpo, Just as Long as We're Together by Judy Blume. This is one of the only books I have from my childhood. I gave a lot of my books away and sold them in yard sales, and I really regret it. But this was one of my favorite books when I was a kid. Wonderful. I'm so happy I have it. Wishin' and Hopin' by Wally Lamb. And then I have Insurgent and Allegiant by Veronica Roth, and my son is reading Divergent. I have House Rules by Jodi Picoult, Jesus Freaks by DC Talk, Can You Keep a Secret by Sophie Kinsella, Plum Lucky by Janet Ivanovich. I think I might sell that one. It wasn't that great, in my opinion. The 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. Another book I loved from childhood. I actually purchased this just recently, but I want to read it again. Loved this book. From the Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler by E.L. Koningsberg. Going for Broke by Melanie Dobson. Speak Softly She Can Hear by Pam Lewis. A Reliable Wife by Robert Gulrick. Midwives by Chris Bojalian. Two of my most favorite books ever. She's Come Undone by Wally Lamb, and Where the Heart Is by Billy Letts. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. Nightlight, a parody by the Harvard Lampoon. Unravel Me by Tahira Mafi. Becoming More Than a Good Bible Study Girl by Lisa TerKeurst. Blood Games by Richard Lehman. The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. The Long Walk by Stephen King. Child of the Silent Night by Edith Fisher Hunter. Face on the Milk Carton by Carolyn B. Cooney. Tiger's Child and One Child by Tori Hayden. This is another one of my favorite books, one of the most influential books in my life. This is what persuaded me to pursue a job working with kids. And then Gerald's Game by Stephen King. Okay, I'm trying to do this quickly. Now I'm going to get to the bottom shelf. All right, here we go. Nonfiction. This is my nonfiction, which is probably going to have to find a new home soon because I have so many books. But I have the Ultimate Episode Guide to Trading Spaces. This show was on when I first got married. It was really big then, and I absolutely love this show. I got so many ideas for my house while watching that show because our house is an old farmhouse, and we did a lot of fun stuff to it. Anyway, okay. Then I have Growing Up Amish by Ira Wagler. These are all nonfiction. Brain on Fire by Susanna Cahalan. Riding the Bus with My Sister by Rachel Simon. Familyhood by Paul Reiser. Sign Language by Jerry Seinfeld. Born on a Blue Day by Daniel Tammet. Lies Women Believe and the Truth That Sets Them Free by Nancy Lee DeMoss. Hershey, which is a biography, because Milton Hershey was an amazing person. If you're interested in biographies, he just really did a lot of good for the world, and I just wanted to read his book. Haven't read it yet. By Michael D'Antonio, if you ask me, and you probably won't, and of course you won't, by Betty White. Bloody Crimes by James Swanson, and Bringing Up Boys by James Dobson. And then we have Driving with Dead People by Monica Holloway, and Stolen Innocence, My Story of Growing Up in a Polygamous Sect, Becoming a Teenage Bride, and Breaking Free of Warren Jeffs by Alyssa Wall. And then I have My Carbohydrate Addict's 7-Day Plan and Diet by Dr. Rachel F. Heller. And that is my collection of books, with the exception of all of the books that are on the floor that are waiting for a home. So, as you can see, I'm kind of starting to get pretty full, but I love every single book that I own, and yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you all have a great day. If you have any questions, let me know, and all right, that's it. Bye.